Hello, fam. Today we're going to be talking about a psyche fracture or a psyche break and who is affected by it. So, we all go through an emotional psyche fracture at some point in our lives. Growing up, we have interests, we have our friends, we have things that are normal to us. And then as we continue to grow, we hit a wall. And with that wall, our interests will change, or we'll have no interest at all. We could feel numb, sad, disassociated. We could have a lack of self control or applying our will to our goals. We could also lose emotional our emotional senses, our logic, when it comes to reacting to situations. So let's think about who's affected. Who's affected by an emotional fracture? First and foremost, you are the person going through it. From what I've experienced, the disassociative, the numbness, the interest changes, they throw your world up into a state of feeling upside down. And in that state of feeling upside down, you are searching or you're trying to grab onto control, like to anything around you, which can come off in a controlling behavior or assertive behavior. It can also show up as in trying to control the people around you. And then when that need isn't getting met, then you get angry or frustrated. And that's another projection of the psyche fracture. So, a solution that I've found, especially for me, is so my character building framework, the character building steps, because you never fully lose control of who you are. And I left home at 13. I'll show you the framework really quick. Okay. So, you have your principles and your beliefs, you have your morals, then you qualities, personality. So this is what's going to build your character. And if you're firming your character, then the psyche doesn't get broken, it gets fractured. And the way I look at my character, especially growing up, was like a Bratz doll or a Lego set. You can you keep certain things the same, like the pieces. The pieces are always going to be the same. The outfits that you're changing, those are never going to change. What does change though is the interchangeable parts or what you build. So my principles, I had three of them. They were always with me throughout my whole entire life. Leaving home at 13, that was my core. And from my principles, I was able to build my morals. So my morals and my principles never changed. They just got added to. But my qualities and my personality changed quite often because I had to adapt to my environment. This allowed me to adapt without losing myself and without fracturing my sense of self. Complete or not breaking my sense of self. It was uh, a fractured psyche. So not only does it affect you, it affects everyone that is around you. Your family, it's usually going to be the people that are closest to you. And it can cause, as you're going through this, it can cause people to maybe not trust you. Maybe you're coming off in ways that you never did before. Maybe you're not understanding people from a place of openness and you're just making assumptions on what they're saying. So what caused and what does it look like? So it's a emotional neglect. So what causes a psyche fracture is a need isn't being met in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not coming after parents in any which way. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. And you can't expect yourself to be a perfect parent because kids don't always know how to express what they need. And sometimes we don't know how to express understanding and acceptance of what they need. We both, I don't put blame on anybody. I am such an unbiased, unblaming person. I do feel like it is our own individual responsibility to take accountability for what is in our control. And everything else, after that, we got to let it go. Okay. So in some way, shape, or form, your emotional needs are not being met. Or you could went through something like abuse, emotional, mental, physical abuse. And the solution to this is accountability. Like I just said, accountability on what is in your control will save you from your psyche from breaking, and you will have a fracture instead. So what does it look like when it's weaponized, or you're weaponizing your psyche fracture or psyche break? You can very much so use it as a weapon against people who are too giving, too caring, too kind, and they love you so much, and you take advantage of that love. That is very much possible. So then you would become the abuser. So I've been in that situation. I've been the abuser in a relationship. I've also been abused. We need to be raw and real with ourselves to be able to pull ourselves out of it. So we got to reflect. So when after, especially after an argument, reflect on what you're saying and how it could be perceived. And depending on their reaction, how did they take it? Sometimes we're saying things and we don't really think about the way other people perceive it. So really stop and ask yourself that, especially after an argument. The best way to go into it, the next stage of talking, to be able to grow and have the most accountability on both ends. It's not about blaming, it's about accountability. I like, for me, for instance, I don't believe in the word sorry. The biggest sorry to me would be someone coming to me with a changed behavior, what behavior they're going to change and how they're going to do it. That would be the biggest apology for me. That's when I know they're actually learning. I don't want to hear I'm sorry. Sorry means nothing to me. So are you living your, and the last thing, two last things. Are you living your life in a state of regret, what ifs, anything that could, or you can't let go of things, like anything you're not able to let go of? Those are your, let the resistance be your guide and figure those three things out. Because there's something that hasn't been taken accountability, some way, shape, or form, you haven't taken accountability for your actions in those. And that's why you're struggling to let it go. Because if you change your own behaviors, what more can you do? Nothing. So you can go to the other person, talk to them, let them know, hey, look, this, I see this, and this now, and this is how you made me feel in this, and this. Now, I don't believe that was your intention. However, could you maybe say it to me a little bit differently, because it's not sitting with me right? See, such a much easier way of going about a conversation. So conversations need to be based off where, or even to yourself, conversations with yourself. Where were you then? You cannot be mad at yourself for who you had to be to survive back then. I wasn't the best person. Leaving home at 13, it's not that I would steal from people, but I'm not who I was in a relationship. At one point, I was abusive. At 15 years old, I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. When your trust is broken, you gotta grow up and walk away instead of abusing the other person. This is me being raw and accountable to myself. Like, look, you lie to whoever you want, but do not lie to yourself. Okay, do not lie to yourself. And then ask yourself, how are you now? So how you are now and where were you then? You put point A, you put point B together, and then that's how you got from point A to point B. Those are the lessons in between, and there's your journey. There's the knowledge you can pass on. There's steps or things you don't have to repeat in your life. But if you're unaware of it and you're going to let this psyche fracture control and direct your life, at what point do you say, no, I'm taking my power back? Okay, that was the video for today. Hope this helps. It's a little bit of a long one, but peace and love.